In the heart of Villa Fiorito, one of the poorest neighborhoods on the outskirts of Buenos Aires, a baby boy was born on October 30th, 1960. His name was Diego Armando Maradona. From the very beginning, life was a struggle for the Maradona family. They lived in a modest home, surrounded by the challenges of poverty. Yet, amidst these difficulties, a young Diego found solace in a worn-out football given to him as a gift by a cousin. As soon as Diego could walk, it was clear that he was different. The ball seemed to stick to his feet as if it were an extension of his body. He would spend hours on the dusty streets, practicing tricks and perfecting his dribbling, oblivious to the world around him. Neighbors would stop and watch, captivated by the boy's extraordinary talent. At the age of 8, he was spotted by a talent scout and joined Los Cebollitas, the youth team of Argentinos juniors. He quickly became the star of the team, leading them to an unbeaten streak of 136 games. By the time he was 15, Diego made his professional debut for Argentinos juniors, a moment that was the beginning of his meteoric rise. His performances were electrifying. The young Maradona had a unique combination of speed, skill, and footballing intelligence that set him apart from everyone else on the pitch. Crowds began to flock to the stadiums just to catch a glimpse of this teenage prodigy, who would often score goals that defied logic. He had already earned the nickname El Pibe de Oro, the Golden Boy, reflecting his status as a national treasure. In 1981, after several years of brilliance at Argentinos juniors, Maradona was signed by Boca Juniors, his boyhood dream club. Despite offers from Europe, he chose to stay in Argentina, eager to make his mark at one of the country's most storied clubs. His impact was immediate. He led Boca to a league title in his first season, dazzling fans with his incredible technique and flair. The Bombonera, Boca's iconic stadium, would erupt every time Maradona touched the ball, the chants of Diego, Diego, echoing through the stands. But Diego's talents could not be contained within Argentina for long. In 1982, he moved to Europe, joining FC Barcelona for a then world record transfer fee. His time in Spain was marked by brilliance on the field, but also by challenges off it. He faced rough treatment from defenders, including a brutal tackle that broke his ankle, and struggled with the intense pressure and scrutiny that came with being one of the world's most famous athletes. Despite these challenges, he left an indelible mark, winning the Copa del Rey and the Spanish Super Cup. However, it was at Napoli where Maradona truly became a legend. In 1984, he moved to the Italian club, which was seen as a surprising choice since Napoli was not one of the top teams in Europe at the time. But Maradona had a different vision. He saw in Napoli a city and a club that mirrored his own story, a place of struggle, of dreams deferred, but also of passion and resilience. The people of Naples embraced him as one of their own, and in return, Maradona gave them everything. Under his leadership, Napoli achieved the impossible. In 1987, Maradona led the club to its first-ever Serie A title. It was a historic achievement that sent the city into euphoria. The streets of Naples were filled with fans celebrating for days, their hero's image painted on walls and banners. Maradona had given the people of Naples something they had never dared to dream of: pride and glory on the national stage. He repeated the feat in 1990, securing another Serie A title and cementing his status as the greatest player in the club's history. But it was the 1986 World Cup in Mexico that solidified Maradona's place as one of the greatest footballers of all time. The tournament was a stage perfectly suited to his talents. In the quarterfinal match against England, Maradona delivered two of the most iconic moments in football history. The first goal, where he used his hand to punch the ball into the net, was controversial and later dubbed the Hand of God. Maradona would famously say that the goal was scored, a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. The second goal, however, was a masterpiece of skill and audacity. Maradona received the ball in his own half, danced past 5 English defenders, and slotted the ball into the net, a goal that would later be voted the goal of the century. Argentina went on to win the World Cup, and Maradona was the undisputed star. He had carried his nation on his shoulders, and the image of him lifting the trophy remains one of the most iconic in sports history. Maradona returned to Argentina a national hero, beloved not just for his footballing prowess, but also for the way he embodied the hopes and dreams of ordinary people. Despite his unparalleled success on the pitch, Maradona's life was fraught with challenges off it. He struggled with the pressures of fame, and his personal battles with addiction became public knowledge. The adoration that he received was a double-edged sword, bringing both adulation and immense pressure. In 1991, his career took a hit when he tested positive for cocaine and received a 15-month suspension from football. Yet, even in his darkest moments, Maradona's genius never waned. In 1994, he made a comeback to the World Cup in the United States, but his tournament was cut short after another failed drug test. This marked the end of his international career, a bittersweet conclusion to the journey of one of football's greatest talents. Maradona continued to play for several more years, including a return to Boca Juniors, where he finally hung up his boots in 1997. Maradona's life after football was as colorful and controversial as his playing days. He dabbled in coaching, managed various teams, and remained a vocal figure in the world of football. His personal life continued to make headlines, but through it all, he remained a beloved figure in Argentina and beyond. He was a man of the people, always approachable, and never forgetting his roots in Villa Fiorito. On November 25, 2020, Diego Maradona passed away at the age of 60. His death sent shockwaves around the world. In Argentina, 3 days of national mourning were declared, and millions of people took to the streets to pay their respects. In Naples, the city that had adopted him as its own, the grief was palpable. The San Paolo Stadium, Napoli's home ground, was renamed Stadio Diego Armando Maradona in his honor. Across the globe, tributes poured in, and for a moment, the world came together to celebrate the life of a man who had brought so much joy to so many. Diego Maradona was more than just a footballer. He was a symbol of hope, a beacon of brilliance, and a reminder of the beauty of the beautiful game. His story is one of triumph and tragedy, of genius and flaws, but above all, it is a story of a boy from Villa Fiorito who conquered the world with a football at his feet.